this weekend in Le Mans, France, and a big welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We are back with the best weather possible, and this is really going to be a stunning weekend. People are streaming into the paddock already. You can tell French people really love motorsports. There's the French Truck Racing Championship happening, so the trucks are really just literally standing down there. And of course, all friends from the European Championship, they're based over there this year. So we were okay, let's start on this side, just to show you that this for sure is not gonna be a boring weekend. And on the other side, people are already getting ready for qualifying number one. But before we are heading to the other side and getting the action started, there are the highlights from Zolder, Belgium for you from 2 weekends ago.
Yes, absolutely. We had a fantastic time already 2 weeks ago. I can't believe it seems to have been that long already since we were last racing at the fantastic Zolder circuit in Belgium. A very tight and twisty and technical circuit that is a massive challenge for all drivers. We certainly saw a lot of great excitement, even some big battles in the Promoters' Cup as well, with Stefan Faast trying to lead the way in the fourth and the second races of the weekend, both of which were very, very dramatic. Norbert Kish was on his usual form, fighting through the pack on most occasions, taking 3 race victories on the weekend and only missing out on the first race win because of a turbo failure. There were some wonderful battles though, and Andre Kurzim seemed to be the one that was always the guy trying to defend. But like I said, Norbert Kish was on absolute form all weekend. Technical gremlins for Stefan Faast denied him a first overall victory of the season, but there was a lot of great point swapping throughout the order. The championship constantly developing lap after lap, and Jochen Hahn certainly had a strong weekend as well, fending off the battles with, of course, Andre Kurzim, his fellow Iveco driver. But Norby was on form yet again. Sasha Lenz was also on point scoring form over the weekend, and we saw some drivers returning to the podium, not just in the overall standings, but the Promoters' Cup as well. And can you believe it already? 2 weeks later, we are here at Le Mans at the wonderful Bugatti circuit. Hello everybody, my name is Chaz Draycott and I'm the English commentator for the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and I will be giving you as much insight as possible over the course of this weekend. This is the first qualifying session of the weekend. We then have 2 races coming up today. And then, of course, we have all of that again tomorrow. We have a qualifying session in the morning and then 2 races later on in the day. The second races of the day have the top 8 reversed on the grid. And that's based on the first race result of the day, I should say. But as you see, quite a big crowd starting to pile in here now at Le Mans. We always do get big numbers here. And you can also see that the weather itself is actually glorious as well. It was apparently very cold yesterday. I was speaking to some of my colleagues that are there on the ground at the circuit themselves, and they were saying that the winds are really quite high there at Le Mans. It's quite a flat area actually, so you do always get quite a big breeze, but it's not raining like it was the last 2 seasons that we've been here. It has been very, very wet in the past, and some of the racing has been incredibly exciting because of that. Doesn't seem like we're going to get much of that rain, if any, today, so we'll have to keep our fingers crossed and see what comes our way. It's a very iconic sight, though, as we look down the start-finish straight here at Le Mans. Circuit de la Sarthe, of course, the location of the 24-hour race, which celebrated its centenary just earlier this year. Here's the championship standings at present, though. Norbert Kish on pole position in the standings and in every race so far this season. Jochen Hahn chasing him in second place at the moment on 236 points, but being 70 behind is at least one entire race meeting. Entire race meeting. You get 60 points maximum over the course of a meeting. So as long as Norbert Kish maintains that gap by the end of this weekend, he will be the 2023 champion ahead of Jochen Hahn. And Sasha Lenz is back up there as well, trying to fight with him. Antonio Albacete also trying to gain that 3rd place spot in the championship. The top 3 drivers, 1, 2 and 3, as you see there by their truck numbers, are the ones that finished 1st, 2nd and 3rd last season. Qualifying is just about to get underway though, and as you see in the background, the trucks have made their way out onto the track. And now the trucks roll their way onto the circuit. 13-litre 6-cylinder diesel engines, single turbochargers, but nearly 1,200 brake horsepower in these machines and nearly 6,000 Newton-meters of torque. Here in the glorious French sunshine this morning, you can see everybody weaving side to side to get a bit of temperature into the tyres. Also, they'll be dragging the brakes as well, getting a bit of temperature into those brakes. But green flags fly here at Le Mans. They go under the iconic Dunlop Bridge there. And then onto the Bugatti circuit. Now, if you're not familiar with this track, you're really going to enjoy it because it's a real hidden gem, is the Le Mans Bugatti circuit. It doesn't get used all that often. I know that the MotoGP visits here as well for some fantastic bike racing, but they have these long, sweeping hairpins. The corner that they're going around right now is Virage du Musée. And then they're going to go down the back straight towards Garage Vert, which is a double apex right-hander. A lot of overtaking goes on here at this circuit. And then they head down towards the back straight itself, another back straight indeed, to Chemin au Boeuf. And then there's the S2 Garage Bleu at the end, and then Virage du Raccourment, which is the final couple of corners. They basically double over on the right of the Ford chicane towards the end of the lap. Everybody now just taking it nice and tidy around these opening laps of the qualifying session. They're trying not to overdo it at this point. It's very easy to overdo it in these sessions and just wear out the tyres too quickly, obviously pushing on as hard as they can. You can see I've nearly got it wrong there. Jose Rodriguez is here with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez this weekend. It's great to have Jose back with us. It's also interesting to see Louis Requenco out there in the number 64 machine. He's actually driving Lucas Hahn's truck for this weekend, based on the damage that they sustained at Zolder with that colossal engine failure that we saw. It's been shared many a time on social media, as you may have seen by now. Luckily, Louis was absolutely fine. But you can see the order's been shaken up a little bit here. Some of the drivers, they do tend to go out in championship order, but what they're actually doing right now is heading out and basically swapping their positions around as such. Heading down the start-finish straight, you could see Louis Requenco just went through the shot a moment ago in his usual dark green machine, but the roof of the truck and the cab is still adorned with the stickers of Lucas Hahn. They've just swapped a lot of their body panels and different parts onto the truck. There is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, currently the leader in the Promoters Cup Championship at the moment as well. He's got a very solid lead of 39 points now over Stefan Fass, after Stefan had a bit of a difficult time over the weekend. There is Antonio Albacete, currently fourth in the championship, chasing that third place spot. He's not far behind Sacha Lenz, only 12 points between the two of them. There is Louis Requenco, you can see with his usual dark green, almost black bodywork on that Iveco, but you can see the branding on the roof of Lucas Hahn's machine. There's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez making his way out of the long left-hander at Virage du Musée. Very tough part of the circuit as they go downhill into a braking zone, try and get the truck stabilised and not lock up the rear axle. The first lap times will be coming through very, very soon as they're now getting towards the end of their laps. Norbert Kish has completed the second sector and is going to try and get his 100% pole position record extended even further this season. He's been on pole 12 times. There is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez making his way through the Chemin au Boeuf, which is the chicane.
Notre pilote féminine avec cette Iveco numéro 4 équipière finalement de cet homme. L'Iveco numéro 2 de Jochen Hahn. On va vraiment avoir de belles choses, et dans cette séance qualificative on s'attend à encore une fois affoler les chronos, et c'est déjà le
cas. For Norbert Kish.
Rien à faire pour l'entrée de jeu, être dans la même seconde que Norbert Kish.
And that'll be that for those two drivers at the top of the order, because what they tend to do is they'll put a fast lap in, which will get them through to Superpole. It's the second part of qualifying where the top 10 drivers go through, and then, of course, they try and reset their own times, and they have to go again to redetermine those top 10 positions on the grid. But at the moment, as you see, it's Norbert Kish from Jochen Hahn, Sascha Lenz, Steffi Halm up there in 4th place, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in 5th position, and then Antonio Albacete next up ahead of Jamie Anderson, then Jose Rodriguez in 14 in 8th position, and then Louis Requenco 2nd in the Promoters Cup. That's signified by the little letter P next to their truck number and their position. Stefan Faas currently the final truck to head into the top 10. We then have Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, John Newell, Andre Kurzim also putting in a lap time. Haven't seen any time from Mark Taylor yet, actually. And there's been a cancellation of the relevant time set by Heinrich Clemens-Hecker. That will remove itself from the board in just a moment's time because he hit one of our penalty markers around the circuit, which are very physical bollards that will be in the way, basically, of the apexes of some corners to stop the drivers from cutting over them. And it's the same from Jose Rodriguez as well, actually. The very experienced driver behind the wheel of truck number 14 has also had his lap time deleted. But yeah, as mentioned, I've not seen anything from Mark Taylor yet. I've not seen the truck go out. They released their new website the other day, actually, did the Taylor's team. And now they're just making their way down towards the end of the lap, and as you see, a lot more slowly than they were before. Because now they've set their fast times, they will now bring a lot of the trucks in. But Norbert Kish yet again doing the job at the moment, nearly 0.2 of a second clear at the top. And behind them, there's quite the gap, actually, back to Sascha Lenz, then Steffi Halm. I imagine Antonio Albacete might go again for another lap there, but at the end of the day, he's in 6th position, so he's still quite comfortably through into Supol. He's actually just come into the pit lane. You could just see him making his way in there, behind Jochen Hahn. And there is Steffi Halm making her way down the pit lane too. She finishes, well, at the moment she's in that session in 4th position, but there's not usually that much extra movement at the very top in terms of those positions. We'll have to wait and see. Norby's that pleased with it by the look of it. He's come down to the end of the pit lane and he's going to sit there and wait. They will not go back to the paddock at this point because they still have to then take part in Superpole. John Newell there moving up into 10th place. He started his Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship career here last season. This was the first race meeting that he competed in. He did Le Mans and Jarama to end the season. There's a bit of a tour to see whether they fancied a full season. And by the look of it, they did, because they've certainly done a good job again this season. They've continued improving the truck and getting faster and faster all the time. But as you see, the top 6 all in the pits right now. Jamie Anderson in 7th position, hoping to move forward slightly. Louis Requenco next up as well behind them. And yeah, I've just been told, thanks again to Alice Holloway, who's my eyes and ears on the ground down there in the paddock, that Mark Taylor's truck did not make it out onto the circuit for this session. So we'll try and get you more information on that as the day goes on. Hopefully no major issues for Mark and the team and they can get out a bit later on. It's never nice when we are even one truck down in our sessions. But as you see, Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, Jose Rodriguez and Andre Kurzim at the bottom of the timing tower on the left, they've all had lap times deleted for penalty markers and track limits. So they have to go out and work again to set those times. We look here at Jamie Anderson, truck number 33, moved up from the Chrome category and the Promoters Cup into the Titan category for this season. Here is Louis Requenco driving what underneath is Lucas Hahn's truck. You can see there the white back of the cab, but all of the other body panels have been swapped over from Louis Requenco's truck, so a much easier job, it seems, than repairing Louis' truck away from home. But they will be trying to repair that truck, obviously, as soon as they get a chance. There's Jochen Hahn and his team, currently 2nd fastest in this session with that 2:06.076. Jamie Anderson has moved up into 5th position now with a 2:07.199. He moves ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Antonio Albacete. Jose Rodriguez moves up into 8th position. That puts Requenco 9th. Newell back down to 10th. Stefan Faas is in the pit lane. And as things stand, currently not making it through into Superpole. There is Louis Requenco. Ah, now, luckily, it looks like Mark Taylor has made it out onto the circuit. He's just popped up on my timing screen as the 14th truck, so I think he's made it out of the end of the pit lane, which is great to see. But the interesting story of the weekend is this man, Louis Requenco, after that humongous engine failure at Zolder, where there was a massive fire out the back of the truck and it completely decimated the engine. He's been able to take over control of Lucas Hahn's truck for this race meeting. It's very, very generous of the Hahn racing team. We always do talk about the one truck family ethos, and that's definitely part of it. We're going to go back down into the pit lane though, because we're going to have a chat with Lena. She's got a driver for us.
Exactly. I'm here with Sascha Lenz, who is actually fighting with Jochen Hahn still for 2nd and 3rd position. Norbert Kisch is leading with 70 points, then Jochen Hahn right now 29 points, and then 39 points before Mr. Albacete. So it's pretty tight, and there are many points to come. What is your outcome, or what is your aim for this weekend, Sascha?
It's the best what we can do. It's on the end the result, and then we will see. So I want to have a good qualifying, I need a good race, and then we will see.
Are you collecting points in your head? Are you already calculating?
No, for sure not. Why? We are all good. All guys make the best what you can do. So on the end, we will see.
How much do you like Le Mans?
I like really Le Mans. It's a nice circuit, and in the evening the lights and all goes on, and yeah, it's really beautiful here.
Cool. So back to you, Chess. You can tell people love Le Mans, and so do we, and we love the races that are about to come, and hopefully a very nice Superpole qualifying in a second.
Yeah, it really is a special place to go to, Le Mans. It's absolutely wonderful. I really do love it there. I'm gutted I'm not there this season, but at the end of the day, needs must sometimes. And it certainly is a great circuit with a lot of nightlife around it. They do a humongous convoy on the Saturday night, and there's a massive parade of all the trucks, loads of lights, horns, and thousands of fans on the start-finish straight as well. There's massive appreciation for the championship here in France. We look here at Mark Taylor, truck number 81. It's good to see that Mark is able to get the truck out on track, and B, has been allowed out on track as well. In some strict forms of motorsport, they will not allow a truck to or a competitor to join very late in the session. He has a big amount of understeer though, going down a hill through Virage de la Chapelle. You can see that the back end tried to break away though, so Mark knows that he's under pressure here, and he is really pushing on. He is trying very, very hard indeed to get that truck towards the front of the pack, and again, look, he's really kicking its head in. But I think at the same time, that's just down to Mark now needing to properly get the idea of how the truck is behaving, see what it's doing. And we're going to go back down to Lena though. She's found an old friend, Steffi Halm.
And the only woman in this racing field that I'm very proud of, sorry, but I have to say so. Because of course people are watching extra when there's a woman in the race, and they're like, how is she doing? And she's always doing really good, like always 3rd, 4th place, fighting for the podium. So is it your aim to be back on podium for this weekend? Because it looks like it.
Yeah, you know, for sure the goal is always to finish on the podium, but now it's qualifying, we are 4th. So I hope we can get a little bit quicker in the Superpole now. But 4th position for the start would be great, and then it's very important this weekend to score some points instead of Zolder, where we didn't finish the race. So at the moment everything is running like a plan.
There are many fans already out on the track. The French really do love the truck racing. Does this give you extra power when you're out there in the truck, or you're not looking at all at the audience?
Okay, if you go for the fast laps in the qualifying and also in the free practice, you're concentrated on the track, so you didn't see or recognize the fans, but especially after we finish something, you have a look, and Yeah, it's a fantastic atmosphere here always.
You were not really lucky in Zolder. A lot of stuff has been going on with you. You got kicked out and so on and so on. You had some technical issues. So did you rework on the truck as well? Are you properly set now?
Yeah, this morning we had a test in the free practice, and with the steering everything is running fine again. So the technical standard of the truck is 100% correct. Now it's on me to make the times.
All right, so good luck to you and for Super Bowl in the next qualifying, and we will be back to chess Mr. Dreikot.
Thank you, Lena. Always good to hear from Steffi Halm. As mentioned, the only female driver in the championship, but certainly flying the flag for female racing drivers all around the world. We see here Heinrich Clemens Hecker on our screen, and he's had a number of lap times deleted, unfortunately. I think he's on his third lap time deletion now because of penalty markers and track limits. So he's definitely pushing on. You can see there as well that Mark Taylor in the truck just behind Heinrich Clemens Hecker, number 81, has also had a lap time deleted. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is currently in 6th position. Requenco currently in 9th. John Newell has also had a time deleted, unfortunately. So our timing tower goes from 14 to 13 trucks as everyone's times now get reshuffled. But at the moment, it's Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Sascha Lenz, Steffi Halm, Jamie Anderson, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, the younger of the two, Antonio Albacete, Jose Rodriguez, Jose Eduardo's father, Louis Requenco, and Andre Kursim that are making it through into Super Bowl as part of the top 10. Then it's John Newell, Heinrich Clemens Hecker, Stefan Faas, and Mark Taylor. Apparently, Mark Taylor was already in the pit lane when the session started. It wasn't like they came through from inside the paddock. They see the very high-tech dashboards that these trucks have on them. A lot of people seem to think that they've got all these dials and gauges on the right hand side, very physical and old school manual gauges, and it's not always the case that they are on these sort of gauges everywhere. You do have a very high-tech display screen of all the information. It's good to see the number 14 truck back in our paddock though. Jose Rodriguez has been racing a long time in truck racing and was part of the iconic trio of himself, his father Eduardo Rodriguez, and his son Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, who races with us now. The three of them were on track together at Jarama in 2016, a trio of generations all on track together, which is really awesome. Here is Antonio Albacete. He's really going to be working hard this weekend to stay in the championship fight. As of right now, there are 120 points available in the championship. He is 109 behind Norbert Kish. However, at the moment, he's not too far away from the drivers in front of him. He's only 12 points behind Sascha Lenz and 39 behind Jochen Hahn. But over the course of a weekend, with just one race going your way, it can change very quickly. Interesting to see that Antonio has gone back out there, though. He's 7th at the moment, which is not normally where we see him. He's very often inside the top 5, even the top 3. So interesting to see that it's not completely gone to plan as of yet for them, but still, they're inside the top 10, which is the more important part. Basically, the finishing positions inside the top 10 of this session is just where they will head out on track or in what order. There's a big old tyre mark and a big chunk taken out of the side of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez's machine. There are tiny differences between their two liveries this weekend. There's a bit more red on the front of Jose Eduardo's Rebo Connaught Racing Team machine. But Jose Rodriguez's truck has, I don't think, really been fettled with much since he raced with us last season. He has made a couple of appearances over the last couple of seasons. Here is John Newell, currently in 11th place, only a few tenths off that top 10 spot. He just needs to try and dethrone Andre Kursim. He's on to his final lap now, though. This is his last chance to get it right and get into that top 10. You can see the beautiful metallic blue shining away on his truck. The glorious NWT Motorsport MAN. There in the pit lane is Steffi Halm, truck number 44. Waiting patiently now for Super Pole to begin. There's usually just a few minutes between the end of qualifying 1 and then Super Pole. And don't forget as well that the Super Pole session itself is a lot shorter. So qualifying 1 here is 20 minutes and then Super Pole is only 10 minutes. So the drivers get a much shorter amount of time to get a lap in. John Newell going very wide there at the left-hander down at Musée. And I think that's going to be the end of his lap there. I'm not sure if he's still going great guns to try and make up for that. The checkered flag waves now that the timer gets down to 0. And I think John has backed out of this lap. I think he knows that that's that. They do often get a screen where they can see their deltas in the truck, the delta being their sort of relevance to their fastest lap time. There's Tim Frost, probably watching one of his own vlogs on YouTube. They've actually released a couple of their latest vlogs recently, have the T-Sport Burnout guys. Tim does document their race weekends very well and gives a good insight as to what they get up to over the 5 or 6 days that it takes them to complete a race weekend. Straight after Le Mans this weekend, we will be heading to the season finale at Jarama next week. There's a lot of the team and a lot of the organisers aren't even going back home before then heading to Jarama. There's a lot of us that are all travelling down straight from Le Mans to Jarama. I'll be sort of rendezvousing with the team in Madrid on Tuesday, I'm delighted to say. And everybody's looking forward to setting up for the week and preparing for a grand finale. Is it a finale where we're going to see Norbert Kish clinch the championship, or is it going to be here at Le Mans where he does that? We'll have to wait and see. Heinrich Clemens-Hecker pushing hard there in the Scania out of the final corner, kicking the back end out over the gravel, and across the line he goes. And that lap is his best. It's a 2:09.005, but it's not enough to move him up the order. He just gets a little bit closer to Stefan Faas, who again, quite a surprise, down there in 12th place. John Newell crosses the line, and he obviously backed out on that lap because that's nearly half a minute slower this time round. But he completes the session and crosses the line. And there's no further action taken against Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, but if he would have got another time deleted, he did only have 2 in the end. I thought it was 3, but if he would have had a third, that would have been a technical infringement actually, so he would have been disqualified from qualifying. There's Andrei Kurzim in the beautiful white and yellow Don't Touch Racing Iveco on his way in, followed by another Iveco there, Louis Rakwenko, truck number 64. There is the front right of Jamie Anderson's machine and his team there. They're all just checking the time in, checking data and whatever they need to ahead of the next session. You could see the real steep angle that the wheel was tilted at there. These trucks run a very high caster angle because of the amount of weight that tries to pull the truck away and lean it over one way then the other when they're going around corners. They run a very high angle of caster. So when you see these things moving slowly in the pit lane, it'll look like the suspension's collapsed and that the wheel is about to fall off and fall out of the arch. But it's just to help keep that wheel as flat as possible against the ground everywhere they go. So our top 10 is confirmed then. And it's Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn and Sasha Lenz as the top 3. Steffi Hall next up with Jamie Anderson. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, the highest placed in the Promoters' Cup. Then it's Antonio Albacetti, Jose Rodriguez making it through to Superpole on his return to the championship, Louis Rakwenko in that brand new truck, and Andrei Kurzim making it through. Unfortunately, the drivers that did not make it through are John Newell, Stefan Faas, Heinrich Clemens-Hecker and Mark Taylor. There is Stefan Faas, just on the right-hand side of shot, heading down the pit lane now. And the gorgeous Tank Pool 24 Scania, very striking livery. They've always got great branding of that team. They're always absolutely on it with everything branded in their team. They really do keep it looking nice and shiny. But there is your top 3. Top 3 in that qualifying session, top 3 in the championship. Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn and Sasha Lenz. Like I say, Norbert Kish 70 points clear of the rest of the field in the championship at the moment, having one hell of a season so far. He might even exceed the dominance that we saw in 2015 when he took his second title. He won 19 races that year, and as things stand at the moment, he's got 17 race victories. So it's very likely, based on his form, that he could overdo that. The next driver back in terms of race wins is Jochen Hahn with 3 wins. We've had 24 races so far this season, and there's only 7 of them that Norby has not won. He's been on the podium 19 times. Jochen Hahn's been on the podium 13 times, and Sasha Lenz 12. There's a number of drivers that have scored some great podiums as well. Jamie Anderson's had 3. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has had 3. Lucas Hahn has even taken an outright race victory as well. And there's some of the penalty markers being removed and put behind the barriers. They often get replaced if they get broken or damaged. But as you see, they are not small bits of kit either. They have small round slots in the inside parts of the concrete curbs where they can place those markers. Just as a more physical black and white sort of track limits warning, basically. But again, thank you to all of our marshals and officials that take their time to stick around the circuit and obviously do a great job at making sure that the session can not only run smoothly but run safely as well for the sake of our drivers. It's hard work being a marshal, it really is. But a lot of it is done, I think all of it almost is done voluntarily. But the trucks now head out for Superpole. Only 10 minutes this session, and with over 2 minutes a lap in most cases, the drivers are really going to have to get a move on here. This is not a circuit where they get many chances to set a time. Looking back at the Slovakia ring, for example, it's a very long lap there, nearly 3 minutes. Drivers only really got 1 or 2 chances to put a proper fast lap time in. But this is the first Superpole of 2 over the course of the weekend. Of course, we repeat everything again tomorrow, so we have another qualifying session. That'll be coming up early in the morning. I'm just going to get the show times actually now for that. Tomorrow's show will start at 9:45 local time. Then we have 10 to 2 race 3, and 25 to 4 we will have, 25 to 5 we will have race number 4. Today, of course, we're watching Superpole 1 right now. Qualifying has just finished. First race of the day, the show will start at 3:15 local time. And then a little bit later on in the day, locally, it'll be 5 to 6 that the final show starts today. We do often go a bit later on into the day on the Saturday here at Le Mans. That's where we always have very exciting party time in the evening with all of the amazing people that make their way to Le Mans to celebrate not just the championship itself, but of course the actual industry itself as well. Here we see Jochen Hahn in the Iveco with Sascha Lenz just behind, then Steffi Halm and Jamie Anderson, everybody weaving and getting everything how they want it before they then crack on with their fast times. There's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. I wonder if you can see Jose Rodriguez. Yes, you can, just in the background there. You can see there's a lot less red on the front of his truck. There is Antonio Albacete, the Spanish legend that he is. And another Spanish gentleman there, Louis Requenco, just behind him, hoping to get more points out of this weekend. Even though that's a bit of a Frankenstein's monster this weekend, that truck, it still looks absolutely glorious, doesn't it? Louis Requenco's dark green branding, always looking very, very tidy indeed. But you can see they're all slowing down quite a lot here into the final sectors of the circuit, just to give themselves a lot of space ahead, so they don't have to sort of compromise themselves and back out of anything should the lap go wrong for people around them. Jochen Hahn there crossing the line. Behind him will be the bright purple machine of Sascha Lenz. Then Steffi Halm, and then comes Jamie Anderson in truck number 33, heading up towards turns 1 and 2. Here's Louis Requenco now winding up for his fast lap. Going around the final couple of corners. We've seen some big drama there in the past couple of seasons. And they head out from underneath the bridge, out of the final corner, and down the start-finish straight. The Dunlop curve, of course, long sweeping right-hander here where the trucks, I would say, would be flat out, but in this championship they are limited to 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour. I say limited, they're more governed. They are capable of exceeding that, but the drivers, the art form of what the drivers have to do is making sure that they don't exceed such speeds and that they all behave themselves. Louis Requenco there getting on the gas nice and smooth out of the smooth long right-hander. You can see one of the penalty markers has been almost snapped in half there. A lot of the time they're almost like a very thick foam, so they don't really get damaged that much. We'll just wait now to see the times coming in. Here is Norbert Kisch round the final couple of corners, probably on his way to set another pole time. His form this season has been sensational. We've seen 2 very dramatic failures for Baloo, the big red MAN that he drives. A turbocharger failure at the first race at Zolder, and an electrical failure at the very first race of the season at Misano. but it's a 2:05.459 for Norbert Kish. That puts him nearly 0.4 of a second clear of Jochen Hahn. Sascha Lenz is 1.9 seconds off and is falling down the order, actually. Jamie Anderson is a 1.5 seconds off, but he's gone third ahead of Steffi Halm. So it's Kiss, Hahn, Anderson, Halm and Lenz at the moment, but I imagine those bottom three at the moment will definitely want to put better times in than that. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, well, he came up as having a penalty a moment ago, or he was under investigation, I should say, for a potential penalty for hitting a penalty marker. Look at how glorious this circuit is. It really is beautiful. Like I say, it's such a hidden gem as well, the Bugatti circuit here at Le Mans. Now, both of the Rodriguez drivers are under investigation, apparently, for penalty markers. So that's Jose Rodriguez, truck 13, and Jose Eduardo, his son, in truck 38. But it's Kiss, Hahn and Anderson, the top three at the moment. And that man there, truck number 3, Sascha Lenz, is pushing on right now. That SL Truck Sport 30 machine looking very, very tasty. It's always so well presented. A little bit wide of the first apex at Garage Vert, but you open it up and then cut back across the second apex of the corner and floor it down the back straight. He's going to be going hard here because in case this lap gets mucked up, his last lap is going to be his only chance to improve. He's currently 6th at the moment. Albacete currently in 7th place as well. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has had that lap time deleted for hitting penalty markers. You can see a lot of shuffling around a bit further back there on the exit of Garage Vert. You can see Jamie Anderson moving over to the left-hand side, getting out of Antonio's way. Antonio trying to go for a faster lap as well right now. Seems like Jamie Anderson is happy with that lap time that currently puts him 3rd. Either that or he's just slowing it down and he's going to get back on with it and try and put another quick lap in to end the session. I imagine Jochen Hahn will probably be done there. Sascha Lenz moves up to 4th place. Not enough to go quicker than Jamie Anderson. He's only a matter of thousandths of a second behind him at this moment in time. You can see a lot of the field there, probably knowing they've got 2.5 minutes yet to get on with another lap. And Norbert Kish is even going for another one as well. He crosses the line. Albacete goes 3rd fastest, displaces Anderson, Lenz and Halm. Steffi Halm finds herself now in 6th place. Jochen Hahn is going to actually go for another one as well. You can hear the turbochargers whistling away on these trucks. The turbochargers are the size of dinner plates on these trucks. They are monumental. The boost pipes are thicker than my legs. It's crazy. There's so much tension in these trucks though. Everything is bigger, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all a lot tougher because it's all relative to the size of the machine. You can hear them now screeching tyres through the first chicane. Very difficult in these trucks because you're slamming on the brakes, and with there being next to no weight over the rear end compared to the front, the rear end just wants to completely overtake you and it wants to step out to the left while you're trying to then get the truck straightened up and turn it into the left-hander itself. So it's a very difficult time. You can see Steffi there running wide and wider near the penalty markers but not hitting a single one of them. It's a very shiny Alcoa wheels there on Jochen Hahn's Iveco S-Way. Glorious looking racing truck, the Iveco, especially in the Hahn Racing Team colours. The white and blue synonymous with the championship and has been for a long time. Jochen, a 6-time champion himself, winning previous campaigns back to back to back. Jochen won in 2011, 12, 13, 16, 18 and 19. And between him, Norby and Antonio, there are 13 titles. They are currently the only 3 outright champions we have on our grid, but we did have Adam Lachko with us for the races at Most in the Czech Republic. Adam was a welcome addition back to the championship as well. He took a race victory and 2 podiums that weekend. It was lovely to see the Goodyear ZM Racing Freightliners back on our grid. 10 seconds to go then before the checkered flag will fly. And it's Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacete and Jamie Anderson at the moment. Is Jochen going to be able to improve here? The sector times look okay, but it doesn't look like it's going to be much of an improvement. Let's see. Actually, no, he's a bit slower in the final sector there, and it lets him down, so he's gone about 1/10.5 slower overall. Steffi Halm moves up into third place. Great lap by Steffi. She does a 2:06.536 and improves greatly. And Jamie Anderson will find himself in 5th place behind Antonio Albacete by the look of it. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez pops up into 8th position after having his lap time deleted earlier on, and I believe that will be that. I don't think there are any others completing a lap. We're just going to wait now for confirmation, but it looks like, yes, it's Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn and Steffi Halm, Antonio Albacete and Jamie Anderson. It looks like there's no other lap times to be deleted. Sorry, I was just checking the race control messages that come through. And it looks all good. Sasha Lenz down there in 6th place. Andrei Kurzin will be happy to have improved because he was 10th place and only just got into Superpole. Jamie Anderson finishing that session in 5th place. He was 3rd for quite a while there, but Albacete then displaced him, and so too did Steffi Halm. You can see the 3 of them there. Jamie Anderson, Norbert Kish and Antonio Albacete. We've got to think about the Teams Championship as well, actually, because looking at it, it seems like Norbert Kish and Antonio Albacete, who are Rivesh and T-Sport, could be the ones to take that this weekend. I'm not actually entirely convinced they haven't taken it already, because there are 123 points ahead of Jochen Hahn and Steffi Halm, who are Die Bullen von Iveco. Let me just add up the points here. Apparently 524 points is their score at the moment, but if you add up Norby and Antonio's scores as individual drivers, they've got 197, so I'm not entirely sure where those points are added up from, so we'll have to see. And apparently Mark Taylor's team have requested to, I don't want to say breach Parc Fermé, because that sounds like a real slap on the wrists, but they've requested that they can work on the truck during Parc Fermé conditions, so I think they're going to sort of accept a back-of-grid start, by the look of it, for the first race of the day coming up later on. But the sun's still shining here at Le Mans, at the gorgeous Bugatti circuit. Double-waved yellows as the marshals make their way over to the penalty markers to go and sort them out and go and fix them up, because you could see that they got knocked over and split in half, those poor penalty markers, a little bit earlier. Norbert Kish heads back into the paddock then after taking his 13th pole position out of 13 this season. We only have qualifying sessions for the first and third races of the weekend. So despite completing 24 races so far this year, we've only had 12 qualifying sessions before this one. Everyone else making their way back into the paddock now. It's a nice big paddock at Le Mans as well. It's a very well organised paddock, I have to say. It's always a pleasure to be there. It's always a long walk, though, because of that, which is very difficult over a weekend, especially at some of these hotter circuits that we go to. When the paddock is massive, you do go on a real wander, going from one team to the next, trying to obtain information with how the weekend is going on. We'll have a look at the results, though, and just to confirm, there you go. Norbert Kish, 2:05.459, the eventual fastest lap in qualifying. Jochen Hahn in 2nd place. Steffi Halm, a great 3rd place on the grid. She's going to start alongside Antonio Albacete. Then it's Jamie Anderson, who will start 5th alongside Sasha Lenz, his teammate. Then it's Andrei Kurzin and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Louis Requenco will start in 9th, with Jose Rodriguez starting right behind his son on the right-hand side of the grid, up towards turns 1 and 2. Then John Newell and Stefan Fass will be 11th and 12th, with Heinrich Clementecker and Mark Taylor on the back row of the grid in 13th and 14th positions. But another solid performance that by Norbert Kish and the team. Great stuff from Louis Rakwenko as well, getting into the top 10 in a truck that he hasn't driven before, actually. It is Lucas Hahn's truck. And there is Lucas's father, Jochen Hahn, one of the absolute superstars in our very star-studded grid when it comes to truck racing. Sascha Lenz there, one of the master truck builders that he is. Everyone's always got a massive amount of appreciation for the trucks that Sascha builds, and Mark Taylor actually races in Sascha's old truck. That's why when there was the big incident at Most, Mark's truck went all the way back to Sascha's workshop to get repaired and get fixed. It had bent the roll cage in the chassis, but basically that means that it had all done its job. It's just that it wasn't safe for it to then take another hit similar. So obviously Mark had to withdraw from the race meeting. But we now wait and see whether there's anybody up for an interview based on the qualifying results. But like I say, it's a very, very big paddock here, so it does take time to go and search for drivers and go and find people. But Jamie Anderson and Jochen Hahn will both be pretty happy with that session. Jamie inside the top 5 once again. He's made a real step forward since moving up from the Promoters Cup category last year. Had an epic battle with Teo Calve, which unfortunately in the end he lost, but Teo, a very deserving champion in the Promoters Cup. Jamie finished ahead of him in the overall championship though, which shows you just how interesting the point scoring system is, because in the Promoters Cup category they get scored separately to the overall results. So it means that sometimes you can get a bit of a mixture in the results. It's always quite exciting to see, because it doesn't just mean that it's predetermined by overall championship positions. Big smile from Jochen Hahn to our cameraman. He's always great to interview as well as Jochen. You'll hear from him over the course of the weekend, I'm sure. He's always very wise and always has something good to say. And speaking of having something good to say, we've always got Lena on hand down there in the paddock, and we're going to go to her now.
And I really love being close to those tracks. I mean, everyone wants to be close to them because they're just astonishing. They're like such a lovely mix of a street car and a race car. And look how much this one has been going through already. And there he is, Antonio Albacete, come to me. I'm very happy you don't look like your truck does. You look much better, I have to say. And you're still fighting in between 2nd and 4th position. So Super Pole now means 4th position for you to start out. You're still collecting points, so how are you feeling about this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, 4th place in qualifying is quite good. You know, I'm not very confident in this circuit. I have to do some continuous laps, you know. I'm not confident with the new tires, so I have to use it and to bring it in heat. So I make a mistake in the first lap, but I knew that I have another 2 laps to go. But then I have some traffic, you know. Yeah, at least I can have 1 lap. So happy to be 4th in qualifying. At least we are in front of Sascha. We are fighting for the points. So let's see what happens on the race. I mean, collect points. That's what you say, collect points.
That's what a lot of people say, that the field is so close at the European Championship that you just cannot allow yourself making mistakes because you immediately get punished for it. So how many times have you been in Le Mans already? Like, how confident are you in general on this racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, I've been here a lot of times, you know, but I don't know if it's one of these circuits that, I mean, I like, you know, but I'm not good enough in this circuit, let's say. And also with, as I say, with the tires, I'm not confident with the new tires. So I was a lot better this morning with the old tires. Well, not a lot, but a little bit better with the old tires. So I think I have to run the tires and make it that confidence for me.
All right, so a lot of quick learning for you. You're such an experienced bunny, so to say, so I'm pretty sure you will manage. And I hope this truck also will last for the races to come. So just back to you, and thank you so much.
Always lovely to hear from Antonio Albacete. Even if he's not had the best session or the best day, he'll always have a smile on his face with Antonio. He's a great guy to speak to. But he's absolutely right, though. This is now the part of the championship where everybody is eyeing up how many points are left on the table and who's going to be the one to take the risks to try and grab them. Only 120 maximum points available now, and you do get, you don't get a point for pole position, though, actually, I don't believe. So no extra point going Norby's way in that regard, but still 120 left, 20 from each first race of the day, and then 10 from each second race of the day. The second race point system is literally just a reverse of the positions, so 10 points for first place, then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But you extend any sort of gap in the points by 5 points if you finish first in races 1 and 3, because you get 20 points and the second place finisher gets 15 and then third place gets 12, so you can open up some big gaps there, and that's how Norby's done it. He's very, very good in races 2 and 4 anyway with making positions, but in terms of races 1 and 3, he's always so dominant. We're going to go back down to Lena though. She's got a few more words for us.
Yeah, this championship is all about the one racing family, and we already have seen proof that this really is a family. Everyone is helping out to each other once there are like issues or once you just need another truck to be racing on. And there's a family. It's like the grandfather, Eduardo, who's not here today, but the father, Jose Rodriguez, he is back on track and he's pretty experienced, and his son is like currently fighting for first position in the Promoters Cup, and his name is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. So I just learned that all the ancestors are combined in one name. Already wondering what the next generation might be named then. And this really is a very fun combination to be watching this weekend. So just check out number 38 and number 14, because I'm pretty sure they will be filling in the field pretty much in the front. Jess, back to you.
Yeah, it's always great to have two different generations on the grid. Of course, we're very lucky to have Lucas Hahn and Jochen Hahn as well, always at the sharp end in their wonderful Team Hahn Racing Ivecos. Lucas Hahn taking some very emotional victories in the last couple of seasons. He won a race earlier on in the championship as well at Poznan, and we all remember, I'm sure, the very emotional first victory for him at the Nürburgring last year. Jochen was very, very proud of his son, and it was such a wonderful, wonderful scene. Usually Jochen is an absolute star anyway, but a very I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say stone-faced. It's not like he's emotionless, but Jochen is always very wise and very switched on, you know, and very level-headed. But to see that outpour of emotion last year was remarkable. And obviously we hope that for him and Lucas, the success continues. But we're very, very lucky to have so many different generations. But what we're going to do is just go back to Lena. I'm going to say goodbye for now, everybody, and I will see you again later on for the first race of the day. Have a good one.
Alarm for 3:15, because race number 1 is about to get started this afternoon, followed by race number 2, of course, later on. And this is it for now, qualifying number 1, Le Mans France, and see you in a bit. This is really going to be an exciting weekend, so don't miss on it. Bye-bye.